Goku fell suddenly, struck by an invisible force. His body writhed in pain, and Goten's scream pierced the sky. It was a scream unlike any before it, raw and anguished, filled with rage and desperation. His aura exploded outward, waves of energy so overwhelming that even Whis had to steady himself. "Father!" Goten screamed, his voice cracking with emotion. The boy's silver hair ignited with golden light, blazing brighter and brighter until it filled the entire sky above. His eyes widened with unbridled power. This wasn't just Ultra Instinct anymore. This was something beyond it. Something born from the collision of perfect technique and overwhelming emotion. The earth beneath them cracked and trembled. Whis' eyes widened in astonishment, something rare for the angel. He whispered to himself, "This power, it surpasses anything I calculated." He's reached perfected Ultra Instinct, but with an edge I've never witnessed. Raw emotional energy fused with flawless instinct. Goten's friends felt the shockwave all on Earth. Gohan's eyes went wide. That energy, it's like nothing I've ever felt. Piccolo crossed his arms, his brow furrowing deeply. That's not just training. Something triggered this. Something significant. Krillin stumbled backward, overwhelmed by the pressure. But Vegeta, watching from a distance, went pale. He muttered to himself, his voice trembling with something between fear and bitter jealousy. Impossible. That child, he's reached Ultra Instinct? Before me? How could this brat achieve what I've chased for years? His fists clenched so tightly that his fingernails drew blood from his palms. Goten stood motionless, his entire body radiating with perfected energy. His eyes moved toward Whis, and there was something different in that gaze. Not a child's confusion, but the fierce certainty of someone who had just awakened to their true potential. Goku, still recovering from whatever blow had struck him, looked up at his son through the pain and managed a weak smile. The Z fighters rushed to Goten's location to witness the scene. Upon arriving and seeing the situation, Krillin rushed over with a Senzu bean to Goku, consumed it quickly, and felt his strength returning. He gazed at Goten, tears forming in his eyes. "Look at him," Goku whispered to Krillin, his voice trembling with pride and something that might have been concern. "He's stronger than me now, far stronger than me. My son has surpassed me." The moment hung suspended in time. No one moved, no one spoke. Then Goten took a single step toward Whis, and the entire planet seemed to shudder beneath that step. The pressure was immense, suffocating. Even Vegeta felt his knees weaken. Each footfall sent crushing waves of energy rippling outward. Whis rose slowly from where he stood, his usual composed expression replaced by something far more serious. This was the first time anyone could remember seeing the angel's face shift with genuine astonishment. Whis gripped his staff tighter, his voice carrying an uncharacteristic edge. "Goten, your power has reached levels I did not anticipate, far beyond what your father achieved. I believe it's time we tested the true depths of what you've become." The boy said nothing. He simply stood there, his aura blazing silver and gold, his eyes locked onto the angel with absolute confidence. Whis raised his hand slightly. "I was using only 10% of my power during our earlier training. Allow me to show you 20%. In an instant, the angel's energy surged. The ground cracked beneath them as if struck by an invisible hammer. Whis vanished, moving with speed that left afterimages across the sky. But Goten was no longer there either. The battlefield erupted into chaos as their blows clashed at speeds beyond comprehension. Light and shadow danced together, creating brilliant flashes that could be seen from great distances. Piccolo's eyes narrowed. "I can't follow their movements anymore. They've transcended beyond even what Goku achieved." Vegeta stood frozen, his jaw clenched so tightly it seemed it might crack. It was even felt over in Zeno's palace. The Grand Priest's eyes opened wide for just a moment before settling back into their usual calm. But internally, calculations were racing. Something unprecedented was occurring in Universe 7. Then Goten appeared suddenly behind Whis and drove his fist forward with terrifying force. Whis attempted to dodge, but for the first time in millennia, he was actually struck. The impact sent him crashing into the ground with such force that an enormous crater formed. Dust exploded into the air. A silence fell over the entire battlefield. Everyone froze. Even Krillin's hands began to tremble as he stared at the crater. Did Goten just hit Whis? No one could answer because the answer was impossible. Yet there it was, undeniable. Whis rose slowly from the crater, his white suit now bearing traces of dust, his expression more serious than anyone had ever seen it. Blood had even appeared at the corner of his mouth. He wiped it away calmly with his hand and spoke in a measured voice. "Your power is remarkable, Goten. I underestimated the consequences of your emotional awakening. Let us continue at 30%. But I warn you, beyond this threshold, your body may not survive the strain." He raised his staff and energy began to gather around it. The sky itself seemed to darken with the intensity of what was about to occur. Whis unleashed his attack with devastating speed, but Goten vanished before the blast could make contact. He reappeared directly behind the angel, moving his hand with practiced grace. In that singular moment, Whis' staff was no longer in his possession. Goten held it effortlessly, as if it weighed nothing at all. Krillin's scream cut through the silence. "Impossible! That staff weighs millions of tons. No being should be able to even move it." But Goten stood there holding it casually, as one might hold a feather. Gohan and Piccolo exchanged stunned glances. Even Goku, now fully conscious and standing beside his friends, felt tears rolling down his cheeks. His voice came out, barely a whisper. That's the secret of his strength. It's not just raw power, it's something deeper. His heart, his emotions unleashed something within him that transcends even my understanding. I fear this path might consume him if he's not careful. I can't promise the ending will be in his favor. Vegeta's entire body trembled with rage and something darker, something he didn't want to acknowledge as fear. His voice came out sharp and bitter. That child, he's achieving what I've dedicated my life to pursuing, and I'm standing here, watching it happen. Watching him surpass Kakarot so completely, this is unbearable. Trunks, who had been mocking Goten not long ago, clenched his fist so hard his hands began to bleed. "You actually did it," he whispered to himself. "I doubted you. I thought my father was wiser, stronger. But you've proven me wrong. Goten, your father raised you right." Whis stared at the boy for a long moment, then spoke in a voice laden with caution. "That staff is no mere tool, Goten. It channels the power of the divine. If you cannot control it perfectly, it will consume you from within. My suggestion is simple. Drop it now and step back. You've already proven yourself far beyond what I thought possible." But Goten remained silent, his eyes burning with cold confidence as he looked directly at Whis. Then Goten moved. He struck with the staff, the force so tremendous that Whis had to defend with both hands. For the first time in ages, the angel was forced into a genuinely defensive position. Blood appeared on Whis' lower lip, and exhaustion showed itself across his features. Krillin screamed in shock. "Impossible! Whis is bleeding! Am I dreaming? Is this reality?" Gohan stood absolutely motionless, unable to process what his eyes were reporting. Piccolo's eyes narrowed as he studied the staff's effect on Goten's power. The staff, it's amplifying his strength to insane levels. This is what threatens the balance between universes. If this escalates further, the consequences could be catastrophic. But Goten wasn't listening anymore. He had transcended the point where warnings mattered. Each blow with the staff sent shockwaves through the planet, cracking the earth and splitting the sky. His raw emotion fueled his strength exponentially. Every strike was faster, more devastating than the last. Whis felt something he hadn't experienced in eons. Not just pressure from combat, but genuine concern. Not for himself, but for the balance he had sworn to protect. The decisive moment came when Goten brought the staff down in one final, devastating arc. Whis crashed to the ground with such force that the entire planet seemed to shudder. the staff pointed directly at Whis' chest, ready to end the battle completely. Everyone froze in absolute silence. The universe itself seemed to hold its breath. Then, without warning, Beerus, along with the Supreme Kais, appeared on the battlefield. His expression was one of shock mixed with barely contained rage. His voice roared like the thunder of 1,000 storms. What madness is this? Whis defeated? How is this even possible? He stared at the injured angel, then at Goten, whose face remained perfectly calm and composed. Beerus's own expression began to shift as he truly comprehended what he was witnessing. His voice trembled. This child, he's reached a level that threatens my position as God of destruction. This is impossible. This should never have occurred. Slowly, Goten turned his gaze toward Beerus. His eyes glowed with the brilliant light of perfected Ultra Instinct, and within that gaze was something terrifying, power incarnate. Beerus roared with fury and accusation. I know what happened here. You helped him reach this level. You betrayed me, Whis. I trusted you, and you have turned against me to elevate this child. His finger pointed accusingly at Goku. And you brought your son to my realm. You have brought this catastrophe upon us all. For this, I will show no mercy to you or any of your friends. I will destroy you all with my own hands. Goku struggled to rise, his body still weak from the earlier blow. His voice came out raspy and barely audible. Beerus, wait! But before he could finish, Whis suddenly shouted, his voice carrying an authority that made even Beerus pause. It was the first time anyone had heard the angel speak with such commanding force. Stay away from him, Beerus. I warn you. Do not come any closer. Beerus's eyes widened in disbelief and rage. What did you say? You warned me? Have you lost your mind, Whis? Have you forgotten your place? Whis took a deep breath, and when he spoke again, his voice trembled with the weight of what he was about to reveal. Goten's power has reached approximately 35% of my maximum strength. He is now superior to even Goku in all of his final forms combined. This is not exaggeration or mistake. This is fact. The silence that followed was absolute, and crushing. Krillin's voice came out as barely a whisper. 35% of Whis' power? That means Goten is a monster beyond all reason. How did this even happen? How did a young boy reach such heights? Gohan opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Piccolo simply nodded slowly, understanding the terrible truth. Beerus's entire body began to tremble, but not with anger anymore. It was something else, something he hadn't felt in millions of years. Humiliation, the realization that he might actually be inferior to this child. His voice came out almost strangled with emotion. You dare claim this? I am the god of destruction. I am eternal. I will not be superseded by a mere child. Whis' voice dropped low, almost sympathetic in its tone. You don't understand what I'm telling you. His emotions control his instinct now. His blood boils with raw power that he can barely comprehend. If you approach him with hostile intent, he may see you as a threat. And if he does, he may harbor ill intent toward you. That could very well mean the end of your existence, Beerus. I'm not threatening you. I'm warning you about a reality you cannot fight against. A deadly silence fell over the entire realm. Beerus felt something twist inside him, something he had buried deep for millions of years. The fear of death, the fear of defeat. His fists clenched and unclenched as he stood there, locked in internal combat with his own pride. He knew that retreat would brand him a coward throughout the universes. But advancing might lead to his own obliteration. Cold sweat ran down his brow, something that hadn't happened since time immemorial. The god of destruction was genuinely terrified. Goten took a single slow step toward Beerus, and that step felt like a knife piercing directly into the god's heart. With each motion the boy made, crushing pressure rippled outward as though the very universe grew heavier. Beerus hesitated, his body frozen between two terrible choices. Finally, unable to bear the pressure any longer, he roared at the top of his lungs and charged a devastating, destructive energy that filled the entire sky. Enough of your games, child. I will not be intimidated by a brat with borrowed power. He dashed forward at faster than light speed and struck Goten squarely on the brow with all the force he could muster. But Goten did not move. The blow glanced off him as if it had struck solid stone, or perhaps something even more immobile. The god's fist stopped dead in its tracks, unable to advance an inch further. Silence crashed down like a tidal wave. All of Goten's friends stood absolutely frozen in shock. Even Whis' eyes widened in genuine disbelief. Beerus' face swelled with fury and shame combined. His voice cracked as he screamed and unleashed a torrent of violent punches with such speed that the air itself seemed to rupture in and tear. But Goten simply moved, gracefully and effortlessly, dodging each and every blow as if he were playing a game with a child. There was no desperation in his movements, no fear, only perfect, instinctive control. Goku watched the scene unfold and whispered to his friends in awe and something approaching dread. This is madness. Beerus is the god of destruction. His power is supposed to be absolute, yet this child is evading him like he's nothing, like he's no threat whatsoever. Vegeta's eyes flared with a combination of anger, jealousy, and something that looked disturbingly like admiration mixed with terror. Whis stood ready to intervene, but Beerus' thundering command sliced through the air like a blade. No one interfere. If anyone steps forward now, I will not hesitate to destroy this entire universe. I want no pity, Whis. I want no assistance. And this is between me and this child. His words were harsh and heavy, filled with buried contempt and wounded pride. What Beerus did not know was that he stood on the absolute brink of genuine danger, the kind that would overturn the balance of everything he had built and everything he believed about his own power. Suddenly, the earth itself seemed to sigh beneath them. Goten surged forward with devastating speed and struck Beerus, sending him flying until he crashed into a distant wall and was buried under mountains of dust and debris. Goten stood over him motionless, his eyes blazing with an aura that made the very sky tremble. He slowly raised his hand, charging it with concentrated energy so dark and so powerful that it seemed to absorb light itself. His hand pointed directly at Beerus' buried form. After a long, unbearable silence, Goten finally spoke, his voice cold and certain. You were the first obstacle in my path to achieve my true strength. Now I will be the first to cut your life's path permanently short. You will not stand again.